What's going on, and welcome back to D+Pad Life. And today I want to discuss ports, remasters, and remakes. Are they killing modern day gaming? Are they something that we can value, appreciate, and enjoy? Now, I've got a pile of games here. All fall into these three categories: ports, remasters, and remakes. And I'm going to go through each stack and kind of discuss why I think ports, remasters, and remakes are a tremendous, tremendous benefit to the gaming industry. At least for me, I won't necessarily say the gaming industry. I think they are. I think that's been proven by the fact that there's so many. They obviously do well. You're relying on a IP that people are familiar with, and that helps the opportunity to get more sales, right? It ensures that, or it helps ensure the return on investment. If you look at Silent Hill F as a pretty good example, I would argue that that game doesn't do a great job feeling like a Silent Hill game per se, but they put Silent Hill on the name, therefore it's sold. It's one of the best-selling Silent Hill games there is, which is kind of fascinating, right? That's a little bit of a slight different example. That's more so IP attaching to upsales and less so about what we're talking about today. But my point is that, when you use a familiar IP like a legacy title, you're able to guarantee, maybe not so much guarantee, but it's almost more promising that you'll get more better sales. So let's just jump right into it. So we'll start off with ports. I have three examples for ports here. I'll set these aside. All right, so for ports, I broke out the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, which is Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3. GTA 5 on the PlayStation 5, and Dead Rising on the PS4. Now, let's talk about it. So one thing that all three of these games do is they introduce a past title onto a new platform, which gives it the chance to be introduced to a new audience, as well as something all three of these titles do is they offer some form of upgrade. Now, the significance of said upgrades is really dependent on the gamer, and I would almost argue too the matter of the perspective you're willing to practice around it. So I'm one who deeply appreciates higher frame rates, faster loading times, faster save times, improved graphics, just kind of smoothing them up, cleaning them up. I really enjoy higher res textures. And that's something all three of these feature. But we'll start with Metal Gear Solid Master Collection. So this is a legacy collection, right? This is one PS1 game and two PS2 games, all made available in a single collection on a modern day console. And Metal Gear Solid has a long history, man. This series has been around for an extremely long time. I've been playing them since the original Metal Gear Solid, and then I got Metal Gear Solid 3 Substance, and I was able to play the original Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. So I'm very familiar with this series, and I love this series. I have fallen a little bit out of love with it just because I wasn't necessarily a huge fan of the direction the series ultimately went in, but I played them all the way up to 4. I felt pretty good, like I had completed what I needed to see, and I kind of moved on from there. But with all that being said, this does exactly what I said. New audience, new platform with some upgrades. They're better looking, they got better frame rates, they load quicker, they save faster, all those sorts of things. I think they've even got some modern day control schemes sort of stuff going on. I'm actually not certain on that. I have yet to pop this in. I will eventually, but I've yet to do that. And I will go into why I don't mind ports, remasters, and remakes, and why I think they're a good thing. And I mean, those reasons I gave enough right now are really reason enough. But you look at this, and this allowed you the chance to play a series that people really talk about. They talk about Metal Gear Solid a lot, and this gives gamers the chance to really figure out why is this game spoken so highly of, right? And then you got a game like GTA 5, and I think for a lot of people, they felt that a PS5 port of this was a little redundant, maybe extremely redundant and unnecessary. But for someone like me, I never played GTA 5, actually. I messed around with it on the PS4 for a little bit, but I didn't play it. I certainly never played the campaign. I kind of screwed around online for a short bit, and that was about it. And I actually didn't know this was a PS3 game until a year ago or so, which blew my mind. I actually bought the PS3 version just to check it out after beating the PS5 version, so I could see what it was like. And I gotta say, it's very impressive for a PS3 game. But all that being said, this game was a massive success. This game I believe it's made more money than any game ever made. And so I feel like it has its place on modern consoles. You might as well give those fans the latest and greatest version of it. And it's got a list of improvements here, especially if you get the PS5 version. Like the adaptive triggers and haptic feedback is super fun. I love that about the PS5. And then 60 frames of gameplay, they did exactly what I said. It's 4K visuals, They improved the lighting. It's got some ray tracing if you care about that sort of thing. Even has 3D audio. Some modern day features that I really appreciate. This is the version of GTA 5 I played. I had a blast. I don't exactly get why people love it as much as they do. Let me rephrase that. I get it. It's just, it would not hold my attention as much as it had others. But then again, I didn't really play online. I just played the campaign and thought I've had my fill. I'll come back to it at some point because the gameplay was pretty fun. I just found that the storyline was kind of like, eh. And then that brings me to my last port I want to talk about, and that's Dead Rising. So I feel like these two are lesser examples of a new platform. This one stands pretty good because you can't play PS1 or PS2 games on a PlayStation 5 and not even on a PlayStation 4. Even most models of PS3, like most models, like 85 to 90% of the models, can't play PS2 games. So this really has its place. GTA 5, you could argue, not really. I mean, just play the PS4 version, right? But this game was an Xbox 360 exclusive. I'm talking Dead Rising. I love this game. When this came to the PS4, that was the first time it had ever come off the Xbox 360. And that created a major, major opportunity for people to finally get to experience the original journey and to see what this whole series was about. And Dead Rising 1 is by far my favorite entry in that series. And so I leapt when I saw this brand new on the shelf, I bought it immediately. I was super stoked. And this actually just got a more modern day remake, remaster. It looks like it's more of a remake to me. I've yet to play it. I do own it, but I haven't popped it in yet. So there you go. I mean, even I probably should have grabbed that because you took a game that was a port and you turned it into a remake, and I think it just really opens up the door for people to check out what Dead Rising's about. And I hear we're going to get a new one pretty soon here. That's what's going on in the rumor mill. I'm pretty excited about that. But let's jump into remasters. I feel like remasters might be a little bit more of a touchy subject for people. I think ports do get on gamers' nerves, but remasters are something I am a huge fan of as well. I mean, ports, in my opinion, practically serve as remasters. I mean, actually, now that I'm looking at it, now that I'm really thinking about it, these are kind of all just ports as well, but they're actually kind of titled more so as a remaster, which is why I grabbed them for this. Now, I guess this could belong in the port pile. Maybe I could have given that a little bit more foresight, but if you play the Uncharted collection, you played the original on PS3, this is undoubtedly the best way to play it. I mean, they stand heads and toes over the PS3 version. So I look at them as more of a remaster as well as a collection you can now play on PS4 and PS5. They do everything I love from a remaster. One thing that remasters do that ports may not necessarily do is they'll usually have like bug fixes or some quality of life improvements, which are things I really appreciate. I'm trying to think of some examples. I definitely got some with the GTA, but with this one, maybe not so much. Another great remaster, and it does exactly what the ports do, which is a new platform and introducing it to a new audience, is Gravity Rush Remastered. Now, this game, I think, is underappreciated and unseen by a lot of gamers. This was originally a PlayStation Vita exclusive, and a lot of people watching are probably like, what the hell's a Vita? And it was basically Sony's second handheld console that no one really got into, and they kind of dropped support of it pretty quickly, honestly. I was a Vita fan. I had a Vita, and that was like one of my first big betrayals by Sony. It was like, dang, guys, y'all just dropping the ball here. But Gravity Rush, I thought it would be forever stuck on the Vita. I actually bought a Vita for this game. I went to a demo unit, and I played this game like 3 days in a row. I came back to the same store to play this demo, and I just thought, okay, I got to get a Vita. I got to play Gravity Rush. This game is so cool. And it actually got a PS4 port, but they labeled it remastered because, yeah, it's got some quality of life improvements, some upgraded controls. The graphics are a lot cleaner. But this game is incredible. And many would not get to experience it at all or even know it existed if it didn't get a remaster. So really happy to see Gravity Rush remastered. Now, this one stands a lot greater as a remaster. Could almost argue it's a remake, but it's not quite there. Now, when this dropped, I know I just said the word greater, and there's people freaking out in the comments, I bet. But when I said dropped, and I said it was greater, I didn't mean necessarily initially. This thing dropped in shambles. It was in really bad shape. But ever since some major updates, this trilogy is fantastic. Now, it still has some issues. It's not perfect. Neither were the original games, though. And man, it is incredibly good. Lots and lots of quality of life improvements on this, such as if you fail a mission, you can restart the mission from the very start instead of having to reload at your save point. It added a lot of control and mechanics from GTA 5, such as holding down a weapon wheel where time will slow down and a weapon wheel pops up and you pick your weapon. And yeah, same thing with the radio stations. Time slows down, you pick your radio station. You can zoom out your mini map. It introduced the GPS system to all of these games. Those didn't exist in the originals. Maybe in San Andreas, I actually can't remember. I don't think so, but it might have. But yeah, I mean, just massive improvements that make these games, like, for me, my preferred versions to play. I also think they're gorgeous. Now, they can have some wonky graphics at some point, but for the most part, these games look really, really good. I'm actually super looking forward to checking this out again. I've beaten all 3 of these on the trilogy. And that leaves us with remakes. Now, I would say that this is probably the least controversial of the bit as far as like rubbing people the wrong way, but I feel like people use that word remake to encompass everything we've talked about so far. They're like, oh, I'm sick of remakes. Sometimes people will say remasters, but I hear the word remake thrown around a lot, and I could not agree more. I think remakes have their place in gaming, and I'm super grateful they exist because truth of the matter is there is a lot of new releases that I'm just not very interested in. But if a new remake is coming out for something that I like, hell yeah, I'm going to check that out, man. I want to see what they're up to. Resident Evil 1, that's the game on the right here. This is actually a bundle with Resident Evil 0. Resident Evil 1 is considered one of the best remakes ever. It does definitely capture the heart of the original and expands on it. I still personally prefer the original version just because I like the pacing of that one a lot more and I like the charm that that one had. But I love the remake too. The remake is really spooky, really cool. I mean, literally, people call this one of the greatest remakes of all time, one of the greatest survival horror games of all time, and one of the greatest games of all time. You wouldn't have gotten any of that if they didn't actually do the remake. Then there's Resident Evil 2. I know it's a couple of Resident Evils, but this kind of helps stress the point. People have been waiting for a remake of Resident Evil 2 forever because of how much they enjoyed the remake of this Resident Evil. And so now you've got people waiting around like, come on, do RE2, do RE2 next. We want to see RE2. And I feel that, man. For me, this one, I loved it a lot when it first came out, but over time, its luster has certainly worn off. Not a fan of its pacing. And its level design it's good. Out of all the remakes, well, maybe not 4, but out of 2 and 3 and 7, 7's not a remake, but of like the modern RE games, this one has the strongest level design, so I don't have as much strong feelings about that, but I'm not a fan of its pacing. But either way, really great game, really fun game, really good remake. I still prefer the original. I like the story of that one more, and I like the pacing of that one more, and I like all the alternate scenarios, which this removed, but one thing I will say is remakes such as this are good, but they certainly did remove some features from the original, which was disheartening. And Resident Evil 3, I mean, the remake of Resident Evil 3 was a total sham in the sense that they removed a ton of what made the original game what it was. So, you know, you take the good with the bad. And then there's the Silent Hill 2 remake, and this game is absolutely fantastic. I know it's gotten a little bit of mixed reception, but I think for the most part, people really like it, and so do I. I think Silent Hill 2 is really, really good. I'm looking forward to playing it again someday. And this introduces Silent Hill 2 to a whole new generation of gamers. Now, one could argue, oh, they should really be playing the original version, and why can't they get the original version? Well, they literally can't get the original version. The source code for the original version has been lost. It's been lost for a very long time, and when they try to do a remaster of that without that source code and try to wing it, it did not go well. Now, granted, some studios might do a better job than that studio did. I'm still open-minded to that, but for the time being, having a remake come out to capitalize on the fame that Silent Hill 2 has and to help gamers get introduced to the series, I'm all for it, man. And that's something all three of these do. You know, that's something all of these games do. They take IPs and they put them back in the spotlight, man. They shine a light on them like, hey, you should be playing these series. You should be playing these games. You should be checking these out. And I think that is extremely important because you can drop a new game, and if people aren't caught up or don't understand exactly why they should care, that can be problematic. And if these games, these great games, don't sell, we won't see more of them. We won't see more ports. We won't see more remasters. We won't see more remakes. And we won't see more sequels. So it's really important that we continue to keep games like this in the eyes of gamers. And, you know, gamers, the audience for gamers is growing day by day, man. It's only getting bigger, and it spans all ages, you know, multiple genders. It just, the list goes on, man. There's multiple genders. Yeah, it really does. It really, the list goes on. It just, the age groups, so many more people are playing games now more than ever, right? And so, you know, one of the primary reasons I don't mind these things is because they're good games. You know, they're not porting bad games. They're not remastering bad games. They're not remaking bad games. They're bringing good games back. And I get excited and look forward to and have a lot of fun re-experiencing these games and seeing all the little changes they made. I love a good remake, remaster, or port that has quality of life changes. That goes a long way for me. I really love when they fix like glitches or just like odd issues, or like maybe there was this infamous checkpoint in the game that was just really bad that screwed up all the pacing, and they correct stuff like that. I'm a big fan of that. And then it's just fun to discuss these games when they get dragged out into the spotlight again, or just brought out into the spotlight. It gives us all a chance to talk about, oh yeah, Dead Rising 1. I'd love this on 360. Now I get to play it again. You know what I mean? And then you get a whole new audience to talk to about with it, and the game becomes like popular again and hype again, and you get to like meet people based off a shared interest, or you get to introduce a game to someone, and that barrier of entry becomes smaller. It's like now you don't need to go hunt a 360 and a 360 copy. All you got to do is buy the PS4 port because you already own a PS4. So all the hate as far as, you know, these taking away from new games, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I think that these are a necessity. I think these ensure higher likelihood of profitability for game designers and developers. There's a better chance for them that these games are going to sell and do well, and that raises their opportunity to take a risk on something new. Because unfortunately, in this industry, the way it's run right now, games are really expensive to make. And so what ends up happening is it's just too much of a risk, man. It's too much of a risk to try to make something new that may not do well. So I think we're going to see more ports, remasters, and remakes, much more rather than less. I think this is a trend that's not going anywhere. And maybe you don't want to support them, and that's fine. But that doesn't mean there's not anything to play. I definitely think, though, you should open your mind up and be willing to revisit some of these amazing games. And if you're feeling strongly about, well, why am I going to buy the same game more than once? Well, wait. Be patient. They go on sale. They get cheaper over time, especially if you're a PlayStation fan. PlayStation fans eat good when it comes to cheaper games. So anyways, this video has gone on long enough. With all that being said, I really appreciate you guys hanging out. It was a great conversation. If you enjoyed hanging out with me, please consider subscribing. I'm trying to grow this channel. It's been a lot of fun chatting with you guys and having conversations in the comments. So be sure to leave a comment if you've got anything to say on this topic. Is there a port or a remaster or a remake that I didn't mention or bring up here that you think I should have? Is there a port or a remaster or a remake that you're playing right now? I'd love to hear about it. I love talking about it. I love hearing your guys' thoughts. And if you enjoyed this conversation, please leave a like. That definitely goes a long way. And either way, I'm going to wrap this up. It's been cool. You guys take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.